Hey, what's up? It's your girl Sav. Welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, hey, how's it going?
We touch, we break,
So, one thing you may or may not know about me is that I'm in the military. I know. But anyway, I am in the Army National Guard, and that's a pretty large part of my identity and my life. So I figured I would do a video Q&A style a little bit and share some of my experience with you guys, because I know it's not a super typical thing to do as a 21-year-old woman. So I'm just going to give you my take on it, a little bit about my experience, the things I've been through, my opinions, all of that jazz. So you can know a little bit more about me and the military system. So I asked on my Instagram story the other day for you guys to ask me some questions. I'll probably start out with the basics about me, just to give you some foundational knowledge. And then we'll get right into the questions. I plan on filming a second video probably much later, where I'll show you photos, videos, all kinds of memorabilia, just to give you more of an inside look, and I'll kind of reminisce on my contracted years. But for right now, we'll just talk about it a little bit. So first of all, I'll explain the story of why I joined and when and how that went down, and then we'll kind of get into it from there. So I joined the Minnesota Army National Guard when I was 17. You can join at 17, but you need both of your parents' signatures. Otherwise, it's of your own free will after you're 18. Long story short, I wanted to go to school out of the state of Minnesota, and I knew that it would be difficult for me to afford. So I knew that the benefits from joining the military would help out a lot with that. So I was a junior in high school, and it was a very rushed decision for me. When you join, you do weekend drills, 1 weekend a month, at a recruit sustainment program unit, an RSP unit. So you go to this unit once a month and you train on the basics of military knowledge and things like that to get you prepared to go to training, which includes basic combat training and advanced individual training. When you get sent to go to basic training, you have to fit a certain cycle period because they have continuous cycles. Basic training at my time was 10 weeks long. Now it's kind of changed. I'm not sure exactly what the length is now, but for me to get to basic training in the summer so I didn't have to interfere with my schooling, I had to decide pretty much in a matter of weeks. So I had not considered it very long before this, but I was very religious at the time, and I felt like it was kind of God's calling, and I felt like it was a sign of something that I was meant to do. And I thought it was a good experience to take on. It would teach me a lot of things and really help out with the benefits that it offers. So I made the decision in about 2 weeks. I met a recruiter at my local McDonald's with my parents, and we talked about the logistics of it and what the contract entails, and we signed. After you sign the contract, you go to what they call MEPS, and it's pretty much you going to a government facility where they can check all of your health, your like physical health, mental health, health history, all of the specifics that they need to know for you to qualify. They ask you a lot of questions, take a lot of tests, do a lot of random things, and just get a lot of information, and then you swear in. Which is actually a very weird experience because it's like the simplest thing. You're standing in a tiny room with like either yourself or a couple other people that are also swearing in, and you're standing in front of a high-ranking military member that you've never seen before and stating your honor to the country. So you stand there, you say the little whatever, and then you sign the contract, and that's it. So April 10th, 2017 was the day I joined the military. I went to my RSP for about 2 or 3 months, I think. And then I got sent to basic training in South Carolina at Fort Jackson. I trained in the 134 Battalion, Delta Company, woo woo, Delta Dogs. And I was there for about 10 weeks. After that, I went back to school in the fall and continued going to my RSP unit 1 weekend a month until the next summer after I graduated to go to advanced individual training. My AIT training was about 8 weeks, I believe, at that point. Like I said, the time periods kind of change, but when you join the military, you choose an MOS. There's a lot of acronyms in the military that you have to remember what they mean. Your MOS is your military occupational specialty. So it's pretty much your assigned role in the military, what your career is, your specific duties. So I signed as an 88 Mike, which means that I am a truck operator, pretty much. I drive big trucks. We do transportation. So at advanced individual training, I learned how to drive the trucks and all the safety measures that you need. We do a lot of working out, all kinds of stuff. And after completing that, you graduate your training. And I came back home and started my first semester of college. I had to miss about the 2 first weeks of classes because of my training. So that was a little difficult my first semester, but my professors were very understanding and I'm pretty good at picking things up quickly and catching up. So that wasn't too bad. I caught up. After you graduate training, you get assigned to a new unit that is usually specific to your job. So I am now part of a transportation unit in Minnesota. I drill there 1 weekend a month, just like I had before, as well as 2 weeks in the summer to do training in other bases and other places. But I have been in the military almost 4 years now. Over time, you also rank up in the military. Rank pretty much coincides with your responsibility and your leadership roles in the unit. So I'm currently a specialist and I'm a team leader, which means I oversee about 4 soldiers underneath me just to make sure that they're getting their stuff done and doing the right thing and being at the right place at the right time. But I think that's about it for the basic knowledge. So let's just get into some of the questions. To start out, someone asked me my confirmed kills count. To be honest, I'm not proud to say this, but there has been one casualty in my time in service, and it was actually a really hard time for me. We found him in the motor pool at my unit where all of the trucks are parked. It was in the middle of winter and very cold, and it was honestly heartbreaking. I felt awful about it. I'm just kidding. It was a mouse. We found a mouse dead outside. That's the only death I've seen. So someone asked how long have I been in? So like I said before, it's been almost 4 years since I've been in. My contract will end April 10th, 2023. So it's coming up somewhat soon, and I honestly am pretty excited about it. I feel like that's a big accomplishment to achieve, and I'm very proud of myself for making it this far when I haven't always thought it was possible. Which leads into the next question. Someone asked, what gets you through the shitty times? So basic training was definitely the hardest part for me. I had never really been away from home by myself for anywhere near that long. You are stuck in close quarters with a lot of other people and backgrounds. One of the main themes that you learn in basic training is teamwork. So if someone messes up, everyone has to pay the price for it, which is really frustrating. So that was definitely a difficult time for me. At the beginning of basic training, I didn't really think I was going to make it until the end. There's definitely been highs and lows throughout my entire time being in service. When I first got to my unit that I am currently at, it was also really hard for me because you get thrown into situations that you're not really prepared for. You have to meet a lot of new people, get used to a new environment, and I just get a lot of anxiety about that. So that was a really hard time for me. But the longer I've been there, the more comfortable I've gotten. I know the people, I have received leadership roles, and there is still some fun times during it. It's not all work. There's play too. So I've met some really cool people that really get me through it, I think. I'd say the people really get you through the hard times. And thinking of it as a job, because that's what it is. It's more than a job, but you're getting paid for this, for the time that you put in and the effort that you put in. So I just take it 1 month at a time, really. Another question is, am I going to stay in after my contract ends? The main reason I joined was for the school benefits, like I talked about earlier. I think it has taught me a lot and it's been a great experience, but I don't see it being a long-term career of mine. I don't feel super fulfilled from it, and a lot of times I just feel like it ties me down and holds me back in some ways. I don't think I want to stay here in the Midwest my entire life. I'd like to travel and move around. And that's kind of difficult when I have to be back here every month for drill. So I don't see myself re-signing after my contract ends, but it could potentially be something that I come back to in the future if I feel so called to. Someone else asked, do you like your job? So like I said, I'm a truck driver. I chose that MOS because I thought it would be rather easy and it's applicable to my civilian life, because you drive all the time. It's not really something that would be a waste for me to learn, and it can also help with jobs in the future. I could take a test to get my CDL license, and I could drive semis if I needed to. It's kind of a good fallback option. I like driving. We don't actually use the trucks very often at drill as much as I had hoped we would. A lot of it is classes and logistical things that we learn in person and not hands-on activities with the trucks. But when we do get to drive, I really do enjoy it. It's kind of like a second nature. And I find it a significant part of how the military runs, because transportation is how everything moves. So in the transportation sector of the military, we have a saying that goes, nothing happens until something moves. We move people, we move food, we move supplies, and we also are a form of security. So I just think it's kind of a cool all-around type of job, I guess. Someone said, for a girl, is it hard to be away from home? I'm not actually away from home that often. When we get activated by the state, we could be gone anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks. I've been activated twice in my time. once for the George Floyd protests in the summer of 2020, and we were in the Minneapolis area for about a week and a half, I believe. It definitely sucks at times. I don't think being a girl it makes it any worse, but I do get a certain sense of anxiety just being in an uncomfortable place for so long. It's really not too bad. Our training's in the summer. It's only 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and we usually get to see some pretty cool places. Last summer we went to California, and it was very hot in the desert, but it was very beautiful. I thought it was a cool experience. And other than that, we're not really away from home that often, so I don't think it's really that bad. It's definitely a trade-off that you have to make. The next two questions kind of go together. Someone said, do you regret joining? And someone else said, is it worth it? So after I first joined, maybe my first year or so, it was definitely hard transitioning into that new sort of lifestyle, and it gave me a lot of anxiety. So I definitely did regret it after I first joined, just because it was very hard on me being, a young adult. It's just a lot of change and a lot of pressure, but it's definitely helped me grow. So I would say at this point in my life, I don't regret it. I think the benefits are definitely worth the costs and the time and the effort put into it. I think it's a great experience for anyone who considers it. As for is it worth it, I would say yes, at least in my case. For my purpose of the military, I have gotten my worth out of it with tuition costs, weekend pay, a lot of experience and networking with other people, and just putting me out of my comfort zone, I guess. So if you think it's the lifestyle for you, I would highly recommend it. But that's just my own opinion. It's different for everybody, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess. Another question was, am I always on call for duty in case something happens? So yes, as a National Guard member, we are always on call. It could happen at any moment, at any time, and we have to be prepared to have our things ready and pick up and leave to wherever we get called to. So like I said before, I've been activated twice by the state of Minnesota. It also sounds like we might get called up here soon because of the verdicts being released for the George Floyd case. So yes, it could happen at any time. I often have to quit things, bail out on plans, email my professors that I have to leave, tell my boss and my employers that I will not be able to work. Luckily, they're all very understanding. Another question is, how do you mix your military life with your normal life? So, me personally, I mostly keep them separate just because they're two completely different parts of my personality. I do share it with people who ask me about it or are curious. I like to be an advocate for people that are in the military or are considering it, because I think it's nice to talk to people that have experienced it. But other than that, I don't really coincide my two careers that often. It's taught me a lot of things, so I take those skills with me everywhere I go. I have friends that I've met that I hang out with outside of the military life, so those are all the questions that you guys asked. I think that's all I have to say about it right now. Obviously, there's so much information and knowledge that comes with the military, so I could talk about this for hours, but we'll save it for another video, I think. If you guys have any more questions about the military lifestyle, what it's like, the struggles, things we do, any stories, maybe I could do story times, please let me know in the comments. You could DM me on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram right here, as well as link it below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will surely be making more of these kinds of videos in the future about my military experience, and I'll share some more, fun inside stories about it. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys next Sunday.